Oh, we're on? Oh, I'm Zak, the radical and your radical host for this tubular episode on Stalin. We're about to learn about Stalin's life, but it's just so insanely rambunctious that we have to have another host on, an expert in the field of Stalin's life. Come now.
Hi, I'm Hanson, and I'm an expert on chemical warfare.
You're an expert on what?
Chemical warfare.
That's not the field we're on.
What field is that? The battlefield?
What?
You about the buttons and everything.
You moron! This is a video about Stalin.
Stalin?
No, Stalin. He's a person or a plant, maybe. I think his name starts with an S. It could be a C kind of deal.
Well, I'm something K, right?
Oh my god.
Okay, well.
You moron! You doomed me! I'm not gonna have any money, and after that, I'm not gonna have any money to pay child support because I got fired, and I won't be able to pay child support to my ex-wife, and you just unleashed the bunnies?
Zach, calm down. I have connections. I can help.
So, Hanson, your connections to the cult have both been surprising and surprisingly helpful.
Yeah, I know. Now just put these headphones on and you'll learn everything ever.
You'd think Stalin would have some bodaciously rad or gnarly life before becoming a dictator, but it was actually not as pleasant as you may expect. See, Stalin was two things. He was poor and he lived in Georgia.
Oh my God.
So, no less. As you probably guessed, this sucks, being in Georgia and all. Especially in the 1800s, specifically 1978 Georgia. So being, poor and, living in Georgia, Stalin had to work a lot of low-income jobs before moving away from Georgia to Tbilisi to join the seminary that wasn't in Georgia.
It was there he taught himself Marxism and inspired by Vladimir Lenin the Great. This caused him to become a revolutionary and join the Bolsheviks. His charisma and dedication allowed him to climb the ranks to become one of the chief Bolshevik operators, which naturally brought him closer to Lenin.
But a lot of people in the party was like, this guy's a real party pooper. So he was just a little too dedicated. He wasn't afraid to get a bit dirty. Somebody's driving up. Back to that. Stalin was pretty cool. He committed many crimes, like arson, bribery, kidnapping, jaywalking. This got him a lot of fear, but respect, which really stirred something in the community.
The relationship between Stalin was very complex. Lenin respected Stalin's efficiency, but also feared it as he grew deeply mistrustful of Stalin, calling for his removal in a note called the Lenin's Testament. The Lenin's Testament. And just like any man in power, he complained about it in a note and died, which is largely ignored and suppressed due to criticism written about the note, about the Bolshevik chiefs. Nobody liked it.
Well, that sounds just like the woman I cheated on, my ex-wife.
What?
Got
Okay, so we heard about Stalin being poor in Georgia, but learning Marxism and rising to the Bolshevik ranks. But World War II? That's when Stalin really allowed himself to get,
Yeah, he spread his wings or whatever. Yeah. Stalin's role in World War II, it was, huge. You see, dudes, he controlled all of the Russia from 1939 to the end of the war in 1945. He basically shaped the whole course of the war. You hear that, Hanson? The whole course.
He did play a more central role in the war, especially on the Eastern Front. That was all him. But the battle between Nazi Germany and Soviet Union was the deadliest theater in human history.
Okay, but when did this guy actually get into the war?
Okay, well, I guess we can maybe start with the Non-Aggression Pact in 1939. it was of August, so I'm pretty sure that's the closest starting part where we can say he's actively involved.
Well, that's rad. Bro, was that, like, even allowed?
Well, yes and no. It's really good strategically, but it really wasn't ideal to get into a fight with Germany. At the time, Stalin failed to make a pact with France and Britain, and he was kinda desperate because he didn't really like Hitler all that much. So he made a pact with them and to avoid the Axis powers.
Right, but that secret agreement failed. Hitler betrayed the pact, you know? He launched a huge invasion into the USSR, and with millions of troops. And that was Stalin's real entry to the fight. And the point where the Soviet Union became one of the principal allies. You powers, you know this, right?
Hold on. It's not like Stalin just stood there and let it happen. Stalin actually stood, like, he stepped up. Not only did he work with Not only did he work with the Allied powers, he moved his factories to Ural Mountains to get a better vantage point. He was the main one in the war. The Eastern Front, that was Stalin. That was all Stalin. Millions of his soldiers died.
Yeah, my dad was one of them. He died. He's right out of the frame.
Oh, okay. Come on.
And sure, but Stalin's alliance with the U.S. and Britain brought the Lend-Lease Agreement supplies. Trucks, planes, foods, and raw materials that helped the Soviet economy stay afloat and mobile. Stalin clearly couldn't have done it without the overwhelming support of the Allies.
It doesn't change the fact that the Soviet Union put in the most work. The Eastern Front was him. Barbarossa, Operation Barbarossa, Battle of Moscow, he did that.
Stalin was a historically bad reader, you moron. And even though the industrial gains were clearly good, it was happening with famine, discipline, cultural suppression, and state-used propaganda and terror to enforce his role.
Okay,
At the end of the war, Stalin didn't just sign peace treaties. He basically went straight for Europe. Like, that's way Stalin used the Red Army to install a communist government across Eastern Europe and creating borders between the USSR and the West countries, like Poland, Hungary, East Germany, become under Russian influence. Wake up! We're talking about Stalin!
Oh, okay.
Something about paved roads or something.
Yeah, this paved the war towards the Cold War as Russia essentially tried to expand with Germany out the way. But that's for next time.